So when I started this spirituality stuff, I got shunned, I got shamed, I ended up in a mental hospital, I ended up everywhere. They figured out she ain't crazy, but she was speaking ancient languages or speaking in tongues, which is now coined light language because when I started speaking it, it wasn't even coined light language. I was walking around saying, I speak in other languages. I speak ancient languages. I speak the language of the ancestors. This is 8, 9, 10 years ago. And there wasn't such thing as light language. So I got shunned, so I ran from the gifts for that long. And then when God said, when spirit came back, I haven't I didn't fight as hard, but I did fight, and now I don't. Listen, I've been having my Job moments. God been kicking my ass,
Oh,
literally and figuratively.
yeah.
So I'm happy
I
to be back out
okay.
the out the dungeon. So I'm
You
cool.
know, I'm glad. So you mentioned Job and dungeon. I think this is a good place for us to talk about religion and spirituality because I try to ask every single guest I have on here about what religion and spirituality was like for them when they were kids because a lot of the people who watch this show are people who have left traditional organized religion and are trying to figure out their own thing. And I think everybody who's watched up until now has heard a lot of my story about how I tried almost all of the religions and
Like
I
trying on
learned a little
clothes.
bit. Oh, I learned a little bit in each one, but organized religion is not for me. Spirituality, I've made my own thing up, and I think that's the best way for people like us. But I want to hear, what was religion like for you as a child?
Okay, that is the first time I've ever heard that question, and I'm excited. So, okay, I'm a baby of combined 10, right? So all of my siblings are, really older than I am. So the closest sibling in age is 5 years, then it was like 7, 9, and on up to 14 years older. So my dad worked in Alaska on the pipeline growing up. He was a chef on the pipeline, and my mother stayed at home. So when he would come home, I can remember going to church here and there with, him and my mom and me, and maybe my brother next to me. But I don't ever remember ever being in the church ever with my whole entire family, unless it was a funeral, unfortunately. So then there was this thing I'm cracking up called the Joy Bus. I
Okay.
promise you this church must have had a grant. So they would come out. I lived in North Tulsa, right? So everybody used to say all these terrible things, but back in the 70s and 80s, there were two-parent households. My parents worked. We had everything, you know, all the stuff that the neighborhoods that melanated people live in get the bad rap, but we had everything, right? My dad worked in Alaska. I was flying on planes as a kid. I was
Yes.
traveling to Alaska as a kid. So we had, my daddy made money. So anywho, the Joy Bus is this bus that used to come to the north side and pick up all the little black kids and take them to this church. Come on, I'm cracking
Oh.
called. What is the name of the church? I can't think of the name of the church. I can think of the bus. I'm gonna find it out. I'm gonna have to put in a side note. So
Uh-huh.
everybody went on the Joy Bus, and my mother made sure that we were at the house, probably because she wanted some peace, because there's so many damn many of us. And so my mother wasn't trying to go to no darn church. She grew up in the church, right? She would often talk about her church when I were growing up, and I visited her church when she was growing up
Yeah.
a few times. But my mother did not go to church as a regular growing up. My dad worked in Alaska, so he wasn't at home. So we would be on the Joy Bus, going to church there in this religion. It was a Baptist church. So I remember we used to have these songs. I am in my 50s. And I still remember them songs riding the Joy Bus. And so I'm cracking up now when you said it because I automatically seen the Joy Bus come to pick me up.
The joy bus.
Eastwood Baptist Church, Tulsa,
Oh,
Oklahoma.
oh
So they would take us, and I just remember a lot of candy, a lot of junk, not many of the Bible lessons, right?
my.
The bus.
Just
I remember
songs
the
and candy.
church.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember the songs. I don't remember many of the lessons. So I was a little bitty girl. So then we fast forward. And I spent a lot of time with my aunt, who is my dad's sister. She just transitioned last month, rest of her being. And so I spent a lot of time with them. So they went to church all the time. So I was at church all the time when I was at their house. We went to vacation Bible school, Sunday school, Bible study, da 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 da. And then at one point in time, I lived with them, so I was in church, and then she made me get in the car, and then I'm singing in the choir, and then I was tone deaf.
Oh.
And my cousin was so evil. They would invite people to church when they knew that I was going to leave because they knew that I couldn't sing. And my aunt would be acting like I'm out there like Whitney, sing a lick. So it was Baptist. It was Baptist. So then my best friend was Jehovah's Witness. So every once in a while I would go to the Kingdom Hall. So it was all over the place. So then I grow up, I graduate college, I moved to Atlanta, and it's hilarious. This is funny. I don't go to church. I wasn't going to church too often. I was doing me. I like to
Yeah.
club. I was partying. I
Yes.
clubbed six,
Yes.
seven, eight, 6 days a week, sometimes 7.
Oof.
So I would
Oof.
meet people, and this is now Southern Baptist. This is Atlanta,
Yes.
Georgia, Dirty South.
Yes.
So people would say, "What church you go to?" And I would just be making up shit. I ain't even lying. I was in my early 20s. So I remember one time I visited this church, Mount Nebo
Yeah.
Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And I can remember the pastor name. So somebody I met, they was like, "Where you go?" I was
Yeah.
like, "Mount Nebo." They said, "Who the pastor?" I was like, "I don't know." This church.
You said I don't know. I mean, take a guess, Pastor Johnson. Like you
Make up a
just
guess.
pick
Hey, I'm
up
trying to go party.
and
So
I
now,
don't know.
so
Oh,
fast forward, I
yeah.
now something hit me one day. I have an epiphany, and I
Yeah.
felt like the church is where I needed to be. So I started attending New Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Powder
Mhm.
Springs, Georgia, with Dr. Reverend Ralph Steed. And I was devout, and I went to church all the time. I didn't go to Sunday school because I was still partying, so I didn't want to get up too early. But I went to Bible study. Every event the church had, I was at. I was on the courtesy guild. At some point in time, I ended up being like the MC for an event. Like I'm in the church, and my kids are looking at me like, "I hate you, and I hate this place." Because I had these savant children who was already
Yeah.
spiritual when I wasn't, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would be bored. My daughter, the church, I promise you, they didn't like her. She didn't like them
Yeah.
because she would be looking at the Bible and she's young and she would be like, this don't
Asking
make
too
no
many
sense.
questions.
Yes,
Yeah. Yep.
she
Yep.
has
Yep.
too many
Yep.
questions and I
Yes.
wasn't aware yet, right? I wasn't in my
Yes.
awakening. And so I was
Yes.
that mother like, don't question the Lord because that's what the
Right.
church was
Right. Right.
saying.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what happened. And then my dad, what happened to change into this is in 2014, my dad transitioned and my dad transitioned in my arms in the hospital. And I saw his soul leave his body. And this is, let me jump back for a minute. It's because I've said this before on other shows and in my own stuff. Is growing up, we had a ghost that lived in our house and everybody saw it. But I don't know if I saw it. I was so little. I don't know that I
Yeah.
did. But here's this quick story about this to get me to this religion thing and spirituality. So my dad works in Alaska, right? I already said this. He's gone 6 weeks at a time, home 3 weeks. But when he first went, he was gone 9 months. He was gone long, 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 long. So we're in the house. So he's getting ready to go back from R&R, and he sits my mom down, and he says, "I need to talk to you about something." And he goes, "I'm getting ready to go back in the morning, and I saw something, and I need to tell you about it because I don't want y'all to be scared." And he goes, "It's a ghost in the house.
Oh.
But it's friendly, so don't be
Yeah.
afraid." And my mom go,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, I'm glad you saw it. I thought I was the only one."
She had seen it too. Oh my god.
Everybody. So now, no bull. I'm not kidding. Kids are coming out the woodworks. My sister comes out, one of my brothers
Yeah.
comes out, and they're like, "I thought it was just me." I don't ever seriously recall it because I was so little, so I don't know if mine is from stories or did I really see it. I was too young. So everybody in the house, just about, sees this ghost. At least 4 people in the house sees this ghost. So then let's fast forward. This is 70s, right? This is 70s. So let's fast forward to when I'm seeing ghosts. Now I'm crazy. How am I crazy? When all y'all saw-
Yeah.
So this is in the 70s. They saw the ghost to live. But when I say I'm talking to the ancestors, everybody think I'm crazy. So now let's put a pin in that. Go back to my dad. Daddy transitions in my arms, and I saw his soul leave his body, but I don't know what it is. So when now I'm in church at this time, but now I start questioning everything. And I'm in my 40s at this time. When the giver of life, life is gone. That's what I start saying. I just said, when the giver of life, life is gone, what do you do? I was daddy's girl, a spoiled little brat, daddy's girl, but not a brat in that way, but just spoiled. And I wasn't liked very much by my siblings and mother because daddy spoiled me, and that's the truth, but we won't go on that. But when daddy died, I was lost. When he was gone, I was lost. So I questioned everything, and that's what took me out of at the religious setting because I, where's my dad? What did I see? What happened? And then God started talking to me. And when God started talking to me, this ain't it. This is what you're talking about. This is a completely different journey.
Yeah.
And then I had an embodiment in 2017. So I didn't know that I saw his spirit, his soul left his body for like almost 3 years later because I thought everybody's going to think I'm crazy. So I don't say anything to my daughter who is savant, who's been in spirituality ever since she was a kid, who thinks I'm crazy because I'm going to church, right? So I said to her and nobody else. So I'm holding on to this for years, and I see a Gaia Network special that's talking about life after death, and I'm watching it. And
Mm,
these people are saying the same experience right before their loved one crossed over, what was happening. And I was like, that's what happened to Daddy. Daddy started trying to get up. He looked like he was trying to go somewhere. He was looking past us. He had a stroke. He was paralyzed on one side, blind on one eye, but he was looking past us like somebody was calling him. I could
yeah.
recall this when he left because I'm the only one. We have a huge family. Hospital was packed for days. But the day he transitioned, he decided to go when it was just him and I.
Yeah. Oh, it's
That was on purpose. And I didn't
yes.
realize it then. And then what I didn't also realize is he transferred his gifts over to me. I didn't know it then. Because daddy was clairvoyant. He was all these things that he talked about on a regular, but we didn't have these words. Spirits would come visit my dad all the time. My daddy was always talking to dead people. But we didn't, so it never occurred. I never say anything to anybody but my daughter. See this special 3 years later, which would means 2017, and I go, I wasn't crazy because they're describing my experience. Now, fast forward 2021, 22, I finally tell my mother just recently that I saw my dad's soul leave the body with a straight face. I said, Mom, everybody, y'all was, da 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 da. Y'all remember the day he passed, da da da. We never talked about it.
Yeah.
I tell her what happened, and she looks at me with a straight face and says, because that was for you and him. That wasn't meant for the doctors and nurses to see because they were in the room. He was coding. That wasn't for them. And I'm going, that's probably the most profound thing you've told me in my whole entire life.
Mm,
And then I
yeah.
was like, this woman right here knows stuff. And I knew it. I knew it for the last about 5 or 6 years. I said, she knows more than what she leads people on the blade. I know she's spiritual, but she doesn't. She runs from it because I can remember stories still as a little girl, her talking about her mother saying, Mama always called Aunt Rachel a witch. So I asked her last year or the year before, I said, why does she call her a witch? I don't know. Yes, you do. So
There's
that
so much
religion,
shame.
yeah,
Yeah, the
and
shame.
spirituality is exactly that. It's the shame about it. So when I
Yeah.
started this spirituality stuff, I got shunned. I got shamed. I ended up in a mental hospital. I ended up everywhere. They figured out she ain't crazy, but she was speaking ancient languages or speaking in tongues,
Yeah. Yes.
which is now coined light language because when I started speaking it, it wasn't even coined light language. I was walking around saying, I speak in other languages. I
Right.
speak ancient languages. I speak the language of the ancestors. This is 8, 9, 10 years ago. And there wasn't such thing as light language. So I got shunned. So I ran from the gifts for that long. And then when God said, when spirit came back, I haven't I didn't fight as hard, but I did fight, and now I don't. So I left the church officially around 2015, 16 is when the full-fledged awakening started. But when I think back, there were instances where I always had these gifts. Someone I knew, their child was ill. This had to be around 2011. When we got off the phone, she was telling me my daughter's in the hospital, da 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 da. When I got off the phone, I had a vision. I said she's not going to make it, and I could never tell her that. And the baby transitioned like the next day because I saw it in the spirit, but I didn't know that I saw it in the spirit because I don't know that I see it in the spirit because nobody is talking to me and I don't have
There's
a
no
base.
language
I have
for
no
it.
language. I
Yes.
have no support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when this stuff came full fledged on, I'm talking about full fledged 2016, 17. I'm deemed crazy. So I leave the church and I realized even before I left, I could go back and see some of my Facebook posts from years and years ago. And I was like, spirituality and it's the same thing as religion, but it's just from different lenses and everybody's confused because we're all seeking the same thing. It's just
Yes.
that people have a different story and a different lens. I would see these posts that I would make. So it's the same thing under a different lens of limitations. And I'm glad we're talking about this because that brings me back to the mommy waters. I'm going to pause in case you have a question, but I want to talk about the mommy waters.
I love everything that you're saying, and I just feel like for, well, here for anybody who's listened up to this point, we've had to re-record, pause, re-record because the energy on this is too much, and I'm afraid that we go to a deep place, it's gonna blow out again. But I'm gonna hold the faith that we can get to the end. No, I do want to hear about Mommy Watas because you're not the first person who has talked to me about Mommy Watas, but you're the first person I met who has a deep connection to Mommy Watas. So I want to know how this connection, how you became aware of this connection, and I guess for anybody who's unaware of what Mommy Watas is.
I'm glad you asked because when it first happened, I didn't know either. So what was
Yeah,
happening to me, I haven't been through any classes, courses, anything. It's been
yeah,
God herself speaking
yes,
to me since all this time. So I would be getting these downloads, uploads, silos, whatever you want to call it. And I remember one time I was doing these rooms on Clubhouse. That's when I kind of debuted on Clubhouse because God kept whipping my ass. And then I was like, okay, I want start these light language rooms and they'll come. God said, if you build it, they'll come. I'm like, it's not the field of dreams. What are you talking about, God? I don't want
right,
to. But I would go into all these rooms and then they would put me up on stage. As soon as I start talking, it's like, and your grandmother is here. And and it's only a face, it's only a voice out, but you can see faces and names. And I would be calling people out going, your ancestors want you to know that that. And people would be like, what the hell? So
yeah,
and it wasn't a light language room. It wasn't a speaking in tongues room or religious room. And so God was being funny, playing with me until I started my own rooms. And so I had these rooms on Clubhouse called Mess to Masterpiece, and the recordings are still there. I'm Allie West on Clubhouse, and there was hours and hours and hours of these marathon rooms in 2022. And in these rooms, or when I'm taking travel, because I was also a contractor, independent contractor, so I travel for a living doing training, and I would be going all these sacred lands, and the lands would be speaking to me. And in California, at Joshua Tree one time out near Palm Springs, and I'm in Joshua Tree, and the rocks and the lands are talking to me, and they're like, "It's all lies." What? They said it started here. It didn't start in Africa. It started over here, and it went the other way. Because I was going, dang, this looked like Egypt, and they was
right.
like the Grand Canyon. They started telling me stuff, and then they said, and the Bible's all lies too. Not all lies, but they rearranged it. And I'm like, well, yeah, if it's a version, I get that. They said no. The character of Jesus is a character. It was a woman. All of those main characters in the Bible are women. And so I'm in my rooms relaying these messages that the divine is telling me, and people are in these rooms like, what? And they're like, and I'm like, these are downloads. And sometimes in the rooms, I would be channeling, get these downloads, and spirit is like, it's women. So somebody goes one time and says, Allie, you need to rewrite the Bible. And I said, no, the hell I don't. I said, because let me tell you, if I rewrote the Bible, y'all gonna learn the truth because the truth shall
Right,
set you
right,
free. I
right,
said, here's
right.
how my Bible was started. You lying bastards. It's all lies.
See, I want that Bible. I
That's what
want
people
that
were
Bible.
saying. You
Yeah, I
lying
want that
bastards,
Bible.
it's all lies. It didn't happen this way. And those characters of
Yeah,
women, it got hijacked. And I didn't know I was talking about the mommy wantas.
yeah.
Fast forward, I'm doing this in these live rooms. I'm doing it because I'm not outside. Like I'm not on IG or nothing because I'm still kind of hiding because I can hide behind the voice on the app. Hours, sometimes marathon rooms, 4, 5, 6 hour rooms where we're channeling. People like, this is church. I'm like, the hell it ain't. If this was church, if church was like this, I would come because you have one moment it's rap music, the next music is church music, the next
It's
verse is
flowing.
frequencies. People are flowing light language, people are getting their light language, people are being healed. I'm seeing in the spirit, I'm breaking generational curses. I'm like, your ancestors here from 250,000 years and da 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 da. People are getting coronations. It's all recorded. All recorded. It's like this whole spiritual school of outbreak. I don't know what the hell religion, everything is happening in one place. People are on the spot Oh my God, I just got my light language alley. I just got it. You just unleashed it. And I'm going, yeah. So it's recorded. So now I'm going, I've read the Bible when I was in church. I read it all the way through before. I decoded the Bible. God told me how to decode it in 2017, but people don't know this because I don't talk about it, right? So I've read it all the way to the end in 2008, 2007, 2008. I read the whole Bible front to back. 2017, I'm decoding the Bible because God is like, this meant this. And I'm going, I have my daughter on the phone for hours because I have an embodiment. I have a girlfriend on the phone and I'm just decoding the Bible. So I know the Bible more intimately than I care to know it because God is just taking over. It's not me. God was taking over. So I'm telling these stories of all these downloads that happen in this room, and some of them will be happening in the room. No kidding. 2022-ish, 2023. A friend of mine who met me on Clubhouse, and he's like one of my best bros right now. He sends me a recording of this guy called Black Magic 363. And this woman is on here, I can't even tell you what her name is, talking about the Mommy Wattas. She is saying everything I've been saying for the last year or so in these rooms, and she has a book to back it. So there's this lady named Mama Zogby. She's an ancestor now. She did this extensive research, went all the way back to the continent, went to speak to tribes, went in, I'm talking about extensive history on how the Vatican stole religion or our spirituality, the sacerdotal seat from the Mami Wattas, who were these high priestesses. And that is the stepping stone, the foundation, which every single religion that is out here today is off the backs of the Mami Wattas, and then made them into criminals and heresy and made our spirituality evil while they went in, rewrote, rearranged, remixed like a Puffy song, and took us out
Yeah,
and
yeah.
put them in. And the stuff didn't make no dang sense anyway. And so I thought back to, I remember Dick Gregory talking about the 12 disciples. And this was in 2014, 15. And he said, now, and you know, Dick Gregory was raw. How did the disciples get English names when these stories took place? How did and why did everybody get an English name except Issachar, Judas Issachar, who betrayed Jesus? That's a setup. And so this is years ago. And now it starts to click like somebody been lying. Somebody been lying. Like I've been knowing they've been lying for a while, but I just been holding it in, right? Until I'm having to do it now because Creator making me. And I'm going, this is all some bullshit. I send this video out because it's exactly what I've been talking about. And now here's the proof. And that's how God would work. I would get these downloads or these uploads, and God would be telling me stuff that I have no business knowing because I don't know why knowing. You know how that is. You get it too. I know you get it. And we never talked about it. So I'm having these knowings, and I'm like, what the hell do I know? And God has given it to me. So now here's this book. They are the first high priestesses. They are the foundation of religion. I'm talking about documentation, and I usually have the book with me, but I don't have it sitting here right now. But we'll talk about this another time. I'll send you a picture of it when we get off. It's called The Mummy Waters. So this woman is telling her stories. So now all of a sudden, this woman is going on, and next thing you know, she's I guess been popular. I don't know. I don't be following people. But now she's on all these shows telling the woman's story, but she, however, God showed me nothing against her. I'm not talking to her directly. I'm talking to you. And then the mommy water started talking to me because she's not a medium. And then the Holy Spirit started talking to me and saying, you got to teach and tell people about stories because we've been telling you this from your own knowledge. And it's matching up what this woman went and did all this research on. It's matching up like to what I've been seeing in these rooms and other places. And so I know it's true. So then all of a sudden, I'm sending it out to other people and going, this is that's been said in these rooms. And they're like, oh my God. So you can't make this up. I'm gonna find that recording and I'm gonna send that to you too. But it was Black Magic 363. I can't think of the lady's name, but the woman who wrote the book is Mama Zogby, and she is now in Ancestors. And she only so I get the book. Spirit tells one of my friends to send me the book. I get the book and I'm like, she opens the book to the first page and I get the woman on the first page comes to me and it's a wrap from there. So now I'm going through the book and they telling me their stories like me and you talking. And I'm going, I don't know what you want me to do with this. I just be trying to be out the way. Why don't y'all leave me alone? And God like, no. So then this is the assignment they gave me here recently. You have to tell our stories from an intimate way because we talk to you. And the sacerdotal seat, most people don't even know what the sacerdotal is. So I hear all these people talking about the sacerdotal seat, and I'm like, well, what's the sacerdotal seat? And they can't tell me. So I'm like, well, God, man, you need to talk about this. So I started doing research. It's the throne. So it ties into, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I have to say this. When I'm in Europe living, God told me to start going to castles and taking photo shoots and queens and kings and castles and crowns. I got 10 crowns. I think I gave 2 away, 8. I have gowns. I'm going like a complete that case, but it was dope as fuck because I love castles and crowns. I got photo shoots on my IG if you go far back where I'm in castles in Europe taking pictures and I asked God, I said, why you want me to do it? Why you can't use Beyonce or somebody famous with some money? Leave me alone. God said, because they have
Right.
to see it from you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, why? So I'm taking pictures at the crowns, and God is saying, you are were kings and queens. This is years ago. So now it's all tying together. God is saying, these castles were confiscated and taken from yours. And then I started learning about the Moors. And then I started learning about, and then it all makes sense now that them castles that I was going through, I can go to my Instagram, it's pictures of me at castles. I'm in wedding gowns, I'm in
Oof.
gowns, I'm in crowns, I'm
You're
at
speaking my
castles.
language. It's all my favorite things.
Mine too. That's why I was sad to move back to the US because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, leave my
Miss your
crowns, castles.
castles.
I go
Yeah.
castles.
Yeah.
I go to many
Yeah.
countries and go to castles. So I got all these pictures that God told me years ago. And God, this is when we talk about the divineness. You got to catch up. God already planted it. I was taking these pictures in 2021. God was telling me in 2021, y'all divineness started here. Mansa Musa walked here telling me the Moors were here, and I was quiet because I didn't want to be bothered. This is the first time I'm really telling it in depth out loud like this, and like out loud, out loud. So it all now makes sense. So the sacerdotal seat that the Vatican stole from the Mami Watas is the crown. And they took all their books and all their writings and they hodgepodged it. And that's how we get the versions of the Bible now. So while they're over there worshiping the Black Madonna, who was one of the Mami Watas, they got us with this fake character of a white man. Jesus is going to come out the sky and save us. And that's a book. That's a lie. It's a lie. It's not true. So they are worshiping, and you can go do the research. The Vatican, they are not even hiding it. They got pictures of the Black Madonna who
I've
they
seen it. Yeah.
worship. I've been to Italy. I didn't make it to the Vatican that trip, but I will. I am in 2024 because God told me to go back over there and really see. So they have stole Rome, Greece, Italy, all of Europe. There was black nobles, and if you do the research, you can go see the black nobles. This shit is real. There's pages on Instagram that talks about all the nobility and the blacks because guess who we were? The kings and queens and the religious high people. And what happened with the Mami Watas is it was breeding and fighting because they were all run by women. And so if you go look at the history of California and the USA, Califia was a queen who was the Amazon queen, which is where the story of Wonder Woman was stolen from. I used to love Wonder Woman as a kid. I still love Wonder Woman, but the Amazons that they talking about were black women. Go look up Califia, the story. So what we are finding out, and they put it in our face and they ain't gonna play with us, that all our superpowers, all our superhero, all our religious was the spirituality that the melanated people had and it got stolen. And then we were made to feel like that we were nothing. And then they come up with this story of slavery. You wasn't no slavery. You stole alchemists. But before that, we was already here. And it's history to prove it. And it's documents to prove it. But a lot of times people don't read. I have books that talk about the indigenous of the U.S. and they look like me and you. And then we got circumvented and got replaced by what they call the natives, and then they get replaced by the $5 Indians. And this is all documented history that you could go look up. Research $5 Indians. It's people with blue hair and blind eyes that paid the census workers $5 to say they were Indians so they can get the land and the privileges. So that's why all the Indian chiefs right now look like they, but the real ones is me and you. People don't want to really dig into our history because if you tell the truth about us, then you got to dispel the lies about everybody else. And so part of being an illusion buster is why I'm here on the planet is to tell the truth at whatever cost that costs, but I'm divinely protected. And it's not lies because you can go to the Library of Congress, you can look up treaties, you can look up old information, but people don't want to look, they want fast information. But if you do the homework yourself, I have my dad's birth certificate. Guess what it says his parents are? Because they were born in the 1800s. Take a wild guess, people. Indian. And they look like me because we're the true ones. So, how can you get to Oklahoma, where I'm from originally and where I am right now? How can you get 51 black cities if the people in the five civilized tribes weren't black? See, they've rewritten history. So they were sending them out to what you call no man's land because they didn't think it was anything out here. And so they shifted them off of their territory because they were still in their land because of the treaties. So they thought that they were putting them out in this bowl of dust called Oklahoma, but it wasn't Oklahoma yet. It was no man's land. Look it up. Indian Territory. My grandmother was born before it was such thing as birth certificates, and her records is in the Department of Interior, and her birth record says Indian Territory, and it has her listed as an Indian. And her mother is listed as an Indian out of Chicago. And so my dad's birth certificate says his parents are Indian, but he could never get Cherokee because they kept trying to keep us out. 2017, they changed the law, and now black people get it, but they're telling you under the Dawes Roll or the Freedmen, but that's lies too because you are them that they trying to hide from. I have all the documentation for my bloodline. I got roll numbers. Back in the day, they used to say Indian by blood. When I put in my great grandmother Nancy in there, she comes up out of the Department of Interior records as an Indian. So I have been 4 years in the making trying to get my Cherokee designation, but they don't really like people like us to get it because it means A1 credit, privileges, land, money. And so all these imposters get it when we don't. But guess what? I have the real documentation and nobody can refute the records from the Department of Interior and State. These are the U.S. records. This is not something I'm making up. These is real records that you can go research and get offline. I have them from my family bloodline. So that's why I'm here. It's spirituality. Why you think a lot of Native American stuff looked like the same stuff in Africa? Because it was one landmass and they were just going back and forth and they had powers and they could teleport and they could do all this stuff the superheroes do on movies. So it was one last landmass and it started here and went over there. So I know we're talking about religion and spirituality, but it all comes together. And this is why you and I speak like this. Because we're speaking the ancient tongue, the ancient language of our ancestors that lived centuries ago because they're in our DNA. And that when we open up to a spirituality, then we're opening up the Amagata is where your history is held. That's where your ancestral, if you tap your head back here, you start waking up that. If you tap right here, you start opening your third eye. But if you get your root clear, clean, balanced, regenerated, the DNA comes out of the root chakra because that's genealogy. And then you'll know who you are without a shadow of a doubt because God will communicate with you. And that's the truth that will set you free. You are the royal bloodline. You am that you am. We started with I am that I am, and the God that resides in you is the God that's it's in the universe, and the universe is inside of you because God coded you with it. The reason we have such challenges with English because it's a bastardized language and it changed up a lot of meanings to put curses on you. But when you speak in light language, life language, speaking in tongues, soul language, ancient languages, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Speaking in tongues was called glacia in Hebrew. See, a lot of people out here just talking, they don't know the history. But God was like, So I'm writing a book now, and I just said yesterday, okay, quit playing, Allie. You got to get this book out. Glacia was speaking in tongues. That's what when the write a book. I'll let y'all know when it's done. So Glacia is speaking in tongues, and then it ties back to the Tower of Babel when the people were trying to climb up the tower to be with gods because it's more than one. Because in Genesis, it said, "Let us make them in the image of us," and then God was like, "Nah, forget y'all. I'm Ronald McDonald. I'm gonna make them in the image of me." And then by Genesis 1 and 6, God said, "F all y'all, silly
Yeah.
fools. I'm gonna kill everybody." It said Noah family, and I'm gonna start over. So God apparently messed up, right? So you gotta. It's hilarious. The Bible is actually hilarious, but it's a book about consciousness and about not people and its characters, but it's real people, but it's been confiscated. So when you recognize that about religion, you can use it as a spiritual tool to help you to the journey of remembrance of who you are. And I didn't mean to go ham, but this is God.
Sometimes you just go ham spiritually and it's okay. It's okay. But you know what? I love that you answered all of my questions. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to learn about your spiritual journey. I wanted people to learn about light language, and we learned so much more. And I'm so glad that you brought in history of the United States as well, and Native Americans, and just how I feel like there's this thing happening right now where we're starting to like decolonize history,
Yes.
decolonize our understanding of spirituality, decolonize our understanding of religion. And I'm hearing people like you and other people start to reveal just different aspects that I think people, aren't aware of. I mean, I remember a time not long ago where, like, if you said that Jesus wasn't white, that was like the most mind blowing thing. People would like jump out a
Yes.
window, even though it's like look at a map, like just logically. You don't even have to do any history. Just look at a map and just think. But even if you presented that simple, hey, look at a map and what do you think this person looked like? That people didn't want to hear it. And now I'm hearing people have more sophisticated conversations. Something's happening where people are more open to like starting to um just decolonize. That's the only word I can use. Decolonize our thinking and all of that, and understand that like religion and spirituality doesn't look like what we were presented. The picture that we were presented is not correct, and we do have a full, as you referenced, a lot of history and a lot of documents and a lot of things that people can look up right now. And I think more is even going to come to light that's going to give an even just more illuminated picture of all of it. I'm excited.
I
I'm
am
very
too,
excited.
Camille. I need to say
Yes.
this, and this is spirit. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know your original tribe. Do you?
I don't. No, I have a
Jabon
guess,
buku
but I
kurban
don't.
ng kriya sikan ng kriya kaya yung krum bakri tikshim kru to kurban ng kriya ekse jakurun no kriya la kriya dikati kurban dekati tike Arapaho ishiven kurban kadam to krum bakron na Lenape beheru to kurban kriya tike shikatang kriya ta ikishevede kada kriya tike chang. Some of the tribes are still, so there were 600, over 600 tribes here when Christopher
Yeah, 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 yeah. I hear you.
discovered the people that was already here as
Right, right.
civilized
Discovered,
nations.
right. Yeah, discovered.
So, and then they cut it down and they started categorizing as they were still in the land. They kept
Sure.
putting people together. So there's a
Right.
hodgepodge. And so a lot of us are mixed with a lot of things. But the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are still around today, immediately what came out is Arapaho,
Mm-hmm.
a Lenape. I also heard, I don't know if you have, this is interesting. So maybe some of your genealogy is on the other side because we're going more out to the Arizona and California area.
That's
Mojave,
so
the
that's so
Mojave.
interesting. Yeah,
So
yeah.
Mojave Valley. So check that out. That's what I keep hearing.
Y-
Mohave. So the
Yeah.
Mojave tribes. So you have some of the so in the eastern side is more the Arapaho and stuff that got moved in and the Lenape up in New York. And then but you have some Mojave Valley. Yeah. So you might want to start there because
I
that's what
love it.
spirit is saying.
I
Because one of
love
the
it.
other gifts is determining people's genealogy.
I love that. Oof.
So what happens in the life language, because God told me now to call it life language. What
Yeah.
happens in the life language is what it is a hodgepodge of everything that you are from your ancestors down from those ancient languages, kind of hodgepodging. So that's why people have a challenge with what is it saying? What is
What does it mean? What does it
it?
mean? Yeah, yeah.
So there's a very few of us that are able to decode it and tell what it is. I just happen to be one of those. So when I talk to people, no matter where they are, I've met people and I'm like, oh, you have German in your background. Oh, you come out of this, you come out of this. It doesn't matter what the person is. I don't care. If an alien came here, if the alien's cool, I'll fuck with the alien because I believe in people hard work and not
Yeah.
hard. We make it hard, but it's hard work. So I don't care. You can be orange as long as your heart is cool. I don't care who you are. If you're a effed up person, you're a effed up person, no matter what your shade is.
Fair.
So
Fair.
I don't care what you are. So I have a plethora of people that I work with, and they look like everything.
Yeah.
So the light language or life language or native language is literally your ancestral coding of what you said. So I can pick up the different dialects when people speak it. And that's how I'm able to, part of how I'm able to decode what it is because God gave me the ability to tell the genealogy. So when people are speaking that light language, I have sensors that are going off in my body and the
Mhm.
light codes are coming through when you all are speaking and I can tell where the dialogue originates from. So there's not many people like me on the earth. I'm kind of an anomaly and I own it now. And I didn't own it before, but now God keeps pushing me out. If you notice, I'm keep coming forward. It's just like a spirit
Yeah.
is pushing me going, tell this. So that's what's going on. That's how I'm able to tell, part of how I'm able to tell where people are from. So I would encourage you to look at those three because those are the three
Yes.
prevalent ones. Lenape,
Yes.
Navajo, Mojave. Those are the three that are most
It's so
prevalent.
funny when you mention the like Arizona, California area. I have such a like love for that area of the country, and I've only been over there a few times. And I always tell my husband, I'm like, we gotta go back out to like California, Arizona, New Mexico. It's just like anytime I see pictures, I'm just like, it's stunning, it's beautiful. I just like,
It's
I'm like, do I want
ancient,
to live
very,
there?
very, very
Oh,
ancient. That's what it is with
beautiful.
you.
Yeah, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank
Well,
you
do
for
you know
that.
that Arizona was the first Egypt?
No, I didn't know
So you could do some research. That's open information. And there were African or the tombs and stuff. And same thing is over in Egypt and Cairo. They were
that.
also found in the Grand Canyon. So there's part of the Grand Canyon that's cut off from public because they're hiding the tombs. But it's an article that they did in I think in 1907 or 1920 something. But you can Google it and you could say ancient artifacts in Grand Canyon, and you will find that they hide the tombs and stuff. And so in Arizona, which is the Grand Canyon as well, when you go to Sedona, so I would recommend Sedona, you can see the old same things that the Sphinx, the pharaohs, all of that is
Yeah.
here in the
Wow.
US because in the look at this, God, this is God. This is a guru to go to Venangria, Tikishivarun Dukrum, Bafeshivan Kran, Tikishivika Dangri Danganganguru. You need to go to Arizona. This you already know the deal. There are portals all through Arizona. It's very wide. It's known. It's not
Oh yes.
fully, but there's portals there. And those portals, this is how they used to get to one continent to another one because they would go through the portals. And that's how they were able to transfer some of the stuff that was coming over from here over to Egypt. The stuff in the Grand Canyon and Sedona is older than the stuff in Egypt. See, so just if you go over there, do the research, but because of who you are, they're going to talk to you and they're going to come forth and they're going to reveal some things to you. And they're telling you if you can get there this year to go. You might find out, wait, this is what they're doing in the heart space. They said you feel it in your heart because that's where you originate from and you've had former life there.
Oh, I believe that.
So
I
that's
believe
why
that.
you are so connected. And it's funny, right before some things started happening in my life, had a trip planned to Egypt. God said go to Arizona first. I did that in
Interesting.
September.
Yeah.
Trip got canceled to Egypt in October because the person that was hosting it, their mom fell ill.
Mhm.
I have a ticket ready to go to Egypt. I got my tickets and stuff back from Luxor and all the other stuff, but I have the ticket ready to go and I know I'm going this year. I'm waiting for God to say when. But I had to go to Arizona first because it was something I needed to pick up there. And I did. And then I went out of my way to do something for someone and I got off course. And that's why the series of events happened because I should have just stuck the course that God told me and I didn't. And so sometimes we have to learn.
Learn the
Yeah.
lesson. Yeah.
So, so I'm gonna say this because I know we're nearing our time, but I do need to just be clear to you. This is for you, whether you put on this or not. Go, go, go. There should be ukra ba 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 isibra ba ba peria tu kurro ba dangria akake ang mongkrea nangria no ya. They want you specifically Sedona, Grand Canyon. I hear Joshua Tree coming up that if you can get on out to Cali and do Joshua Tree, you would be surprised at what you find out there. And I'm going to send you some pictures and videos to you privately, and you'll know what I'm talking about. I went out there by myself. I'm going to send you
I knew this was about to be fire.
this video. How could it not be? Two
I
goddesses,
knew
two
it.
mommy waters are together. Because you know you mommy water. Why you think God
I
got
know.
me talking about you, talking to this about
Uh,
you? I'm gonna send
I,
you a copy of that book. Get the book. We'll talk about it.
please.
I'm literally
Yes.
starting the Black Doves Mystery School to teach people about the mommy waters and how to harness our power and get our energy and power back.
Allie West, where can people find you? Where do you want people to find
Okay,
you?
there's a couple of different ways because AllieWest.com is under reconstruction. So you can
Yeah.
find me on IG. You can find me on Facebook. On IG, I am the Allie West. My booking site is alliewest.as.me. So that's ALLIEWEST.as.me. That's my booking site. You want to shoot me an email, info@alliewest.com, Facebook, Allie West, TikTok, Allie West. I've been playing about YouTube, but I do have a channel that I haven't done anything with. I'm about to be on there, Allie West. So pretty much Allie West, LinkedIn, look, everything pretty much is Allie West, TikTok, except IG is I am the Allie West because someone already had it. And so I do healing work, I do teaching, I do genealogy, pet psychic, medical intuitive. I don't know, whatever God's saying. And I'm getting ready to update the services because I am doing womb healing. And the upcoming things, because we talked about that, is retreats. So stay tuned for the retreats. I am actually working something out right now in the state of Arizona with someone I met recently, and we're going to be doing something at some resorts out there and Airbnbs out there. So retreats are coming, and I will keep you guys posted about the retreats because that's this year. And more books are coming. I currently have books. My books are a dressed up mess and still a mess. And I'm currently, you can get those off from my site as well, but you can also get them at Amazon. But I could sign autograph copies. You can go through me. I'm also in the Black Wall Street Bodega on Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Black Wall Street was. I am also just last night, I'm super excited to announce I am in Fulton Books and Coffee, which is also on Greenwood. So coming back home, I came kicking and screaming, but coming back home has been interesting because God has placed my works on Greenwood in the heart of Black Wall Street, and those ancestors talk to me as well. And so some of the projects that I'm going to be doing is truth telling with the ancestors. That's alive that I'll be hosting. I've already started it, but haven't been consistent. But I'm also getting ready to write a book on the stories told from their eyes because I'm a medium, and so the ancestors of Wall Street talk to me and I'm getting ready to tell their stories too. So I'm excited about those things to come. I am also a book coach, life coach, all these things. And so I am that I am. So if I have said something that interests you or repelled you, great. And I look forward to you being on my podcast, Cornell. We're probably going to look at getting you in sooner because I tell you what I'm looking to do with these dates and things.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the show, Allie, and thank you for teaching us about everything in the universe today.
You're hilarious. I look forward to the collaborations that we'll be doing together because I know that it's not by happenstance. You are soul family. Thank you for your audience for accepting me and all my crazy, kooky, good. I love my brand of crazy. I love my
Yes.
brand of woo
Yeah.
woo. I didn't say this a few years ago. I ran like hell, and now I love it. There's nothing else I'm supposed to be doing but this work and whatever God says. So thank you for having me. I love you. There's nothing you could do about it. Everybody, love
Yes.
yourself radically and let's continue this amazing work. I am honored to be here and I honor you, Queen.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Highly Spiritual Person podcast. I really hope you found this conversation inspiring and uplifting. If you did, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel for more updates. And remember, sharing is caring, so if you think others would benefit from this content, don't hesitate to share it with your friends and family. We'll be back with more exciting content, so stay tuned and stay curious.